Hi, the other day I watched Jules Verne's Rocket to the Moon, the 1967 ensemble period science fiction comedy, very loosely inspired by the writings of the French author. It tells of an effort to land a rocket ship on the moon with a consortium of individual interests getting together to try and raise finance, uh, develop a appropriate vessel, invent the means of propulsion and all that sort of thing, as well as various other interests trying to thwart it in order to make money out of its failure. It was conceived as a knockoff of Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, which had been a huge success a couple of years earlier. And even two of the cast members from that film are repeating here, Gert Fröbe and Terry-Thomas. It's not good. The main problem with it is it's not actually based on any of Verne's writings. He wrote a couple of books about space travel, but nothing is adapted specifically here. And it's so overlong and bloated. It runs to comfortably less than 2 hours, but it still feels far too long with lengthy scenes that go nowhere, comic set pieces like testing the explosive that's going to launch the missile that are dismally unfunny and don't propel the story. Terry Thomas is doing his standard Terry Thomas material. Burl Ives plays the mastermind behind the project, a fictionalized version of P.T. Barnum, who plans to launch General Tom Thumb, a member of his circus, into space, although Tom Thumb is played by Jimmy Clitheroe, which means that his accent tends to vary between Blackpool and Baton Rouge. The film ends with the actual launch going ahead, but it's sabotaged, so they wind up actually landing in Russia. And it's notable that the film is called Rocket to the Moon, and many of Verne's stories are about incredible adventures, going to fantastic places, or having fantastic experiences. This is a film in which they don't actually start traveling anywhere until 5 minutes from the end. And even then, the launch is a failure. It's dismally disappointing, very unentertaining, and a sign of the collapse, I think, of the studio system of the late 60s. This was 1967, the watershed year in American cinema, when films like The Graduate and In the Heat of the Night were getting major traction. And supposedly, Dr. Dolittle with Rex Harrison bought its Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. This was an independent production and was sold to distributors internationally. But it's so weak and so indicative of a failure in thinking that it really is shocking that it is even remembered today. I think it's now treated little more as schedule filler. The rocket doesn't go to the moon. It's not based on anything by Jules Verne. It's a comedy that's not funny, and I think by any measure, it's a failure.